I'm at Bayshore MRT station, the end of the Thomson-East Coast line, and today we're going to check out Singapore's newest... Oh wait, that's the wrong Bayshore, never mind. Okay, now I'm at Bayshore MRT station, the end of the Thomson-East Coast line, and today we're going to check out Singapore's newest metro stations and what they have to offer. The MRT is what many people will turn to as the most innovative rail system of the modern era, and it feels like every time that Singapore's opened a new line, they've brought some new ideas to the table, be it full-height platform doors, seamless multilingual wayfinding, and tons of driverless trains. There's a lot that they've already done, but even in 2024, there's still new sights to see. So let's go for a ride on Stage 4 of the Thomson-East Coast line. Before we start, let's get situated. Recall from my previous video on the downtown line, which by the way, thanks so much for all the views on that. It seems the algorithm loves content in Singapore, so here we go again. But anyway, from that video I mentioned the Eastern Region line, which was a planned orbital line in the turn of the century that would go all the way around Singapore's east. The northern half of that loop would become part of the downtown line, though the southern half would remain dormant for a bit. Ultimately, much like the downtown line in fact, it got stitched into the planned Thomson line to form the full Thomson-East Coast line. Interestingly, the Thomson part of the line actually started to be built before the merger was complete. Stage 1 of the line, with just 3 stops all in the Woodlands area, opened in January 2020, which is probably one of the worst possible times to open a metro line, but oh well. Woodlands Station itself is a transfer to the North-South line, is also one of the busiest bus hubs in the city-state. One station north, with the very creative name of Woodlands North, will soon connect to the RTS, a rapid transit system across the border from Singapore into Johor, Malaysia. This is one of the busiest borders in the world that is frequently crossed by land, but even by air, there are over 40 flights a day between Singapore and Kuala Lumpur. You know, maybe, just maybe, high-speed rail might be a thing worth considering. Come on, guys. Anyway, with pandemic-enforced delays, Stage 2 opened in August 2021, which took the line to Caldecott to meet with the Circle line. Stage 3 came a year and a bit later, in November 2022, heading towards downtown and intersecting with every other MRT line. Stage 3 also created 2 new triple points on the system, alongside the already existing Dhoby Ghaut in Outram Park and Marina Bay. Despite being ostensibly a suburban line, the TEL has proven to be useful for providing more downtown connectivity, most notably at Orchard and in the Marina area, including serving gardens by the bay with a new dedicated station. Previously, the only way to get there by MRT was at Bayfront. But now we arrive at Stage 4, the focus of this video. Operation began in June 2024 with 7 new stations through to Bayshore, and this was much needed. After all, they've been studying the line here for the best part of 3 decades, and in that time, a lot of car traffic had built up. While here at Bayshore it doesn't seem like there's much going on at the moment, aside from a couple of residential towers, there are plenty of valuable communities that this extension hit. Let's head towards one of those now. But before we ride, I promise that these stations have some brand new features, so let's take a quick look. Here you can see one of these, an underground bike parking facility, with dedicated elevators in the distance. Perhaps a ramp may have been more convenient, but I suppose it was necessary to keep these stations as enclosed as possible. And the most striking feature of the new TEL4 stations are the fans at platform level. Of course, the rest of the MRT is air-conditioned, but ventilation like that is both expensive and environmentally damaging. Meanwhile, with this system, which is known as hybrid cooling, the AC can be set to a higher temperature, but the fans help to keep things cool. Now, this technology has had its skeptics, but given that these stations are very wide open, the potential benefit seems to be more maximized. Anyway, let's head to Marine Parade now, on board the new TEL trains that have 5 doors per car. This is the first on the MRT, with all previous lines only having 4 doors per car. In case you were curious, the individual cars in the TEL are about the same length as the earlier lines, with each consist being 4 cars long, compared to the usual 3 on the Circle and Downtown line and 6 on the others. Here we are now at Marine Parade, which is a much more vibrant community that was really crying out for an MRT station for ages now. Underground, the station design is very similar to Bayshore, but come outside and you will find a lot of stuff going on. You've got a mall, tons of retail, solid local bus access, and a good old HDB. It started raining just seconds after I took these shots, so naturally I retreated into the mall. And of course, I got lost. It is worth noting that this mall had hardly any signage directing you to the MRT, though I was there in early August, just a few weeks after the line opened, so maybe that's been changed by now, but it was still a bit of an inconvenience. The final confirmed stage of the TEL will open in 2026, adding 2 more stops, linking to a new integrated depot, and providing another transfer to the downtown line by way of that line extending too. In its very final form, the TEL will head to Changi Airport, potentially hitting the new Terminal 5, and also maybe taking over the existing Changi Shuttle, which is technically part of the East-West line now, but since it doesn't through run onto the main line, it's just another line that happens to be colored green. So then, is TEL4 a success? Well, as someone who's just visited for a couple days, my advice is probably not the best, but it is encouraging to see that rail service is arriving at places that have been crying out for it for far too long, having to suffer with buses as their only transit option. Regardless, the TEL is quite a fascinating line, with a higher top speed and wider stop spacing than some of its predecessors, coupled with limited downtown service, but still enough to hit several major nodes. Overall, I'm glad I got to be in town to witness this expansion, and I hope that it does prove to alleviate car dependence around the East Coast.